Hey parents, let's talk spelling homework. I have talked to a few parents about best practices for practicing this spelling homework kind of the way we teach it in class. And so I wanted to make a video to show you kind of what I think would be a very big help for you as parents to make sure that they're getting the most bang for their buck out of their practice, out of their spelling homework. So this is our Monday spelling homework. Our words are across the top. Then we have our Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we have our Thursday homework. Now, when we get into curriculum, one of our Tuesday, Wednesday homeworks will change to unscramble the word. But for right now, we're in these. And even when that changes, that will be a little different than these. You'll just let them kind of complete that as it is. You can choose a day. If you want to, you can choose every day. But I would choose 1, maybe 2 days to really focus on the students doing their best spelling practice with these. And here's how I would do that. Here's their homework. I would take my handy dandy scissors and I would cut the words off the top. And yes, I give you permission to send it back with the words cut off. This homework is pencil, crayons, marker. If you have pencil, they write it in pencil. If you have crayons at home, they write it in crayons. If not, they write it in pencil. If you have marker, they write it in marker. If not, they just write it in pencil again. They just are writing it 3 times. We try to make it a little more fun than just write. I would take this as the grown-up. They would get this as the student. And this is almost like a practice spelling test in class, but really it's what we call a decoding test or a dictation test. That's the word I was looking for. It's a dictation. So I'm going to say the word to them. So as the parent, I'm just going to read the first word, pot. They need to say pot, and then they're going to spell it. Pot. So the same way we do with our phoneme graphing, but they just put it all together. Then once they spell it the first time and you check to make sure it's correct, they write it again and write it again. Then you would read the next word, sad. S-a-d. S-a-d. Then they would write it again. And you would go just that same way all the way through the list. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday homework, again, you do not have to do it every day. I would probably pick 1 or 2 and then just let them have some fun doing their homework the other days independently. They like getting to do things all by themselves because it helps them feel a little more grown up. But I would just cut off the words and I would read them the word, pot. And then they write the word, and this one they just draw a shape around the word. It's nothing fancy. This one I would read the word, pot, and they would write it the first time, sound it out, pot, write it, and then they would take 2 or 3 other colors and trace over the same word. So it looks like a rainbow, but they're just practicing writing the word more than once in a fun, different way. I would for sure cut the bottom off of this and make them practice it. This might make it a little trickier for us teachers to make sure they practice every word they're supposed to, but well worth it for you as the parent. If you don't want to cut it off because it's a little trickier for us, you could always just fold it up and then read them the words from one of the other lists or off of their newsletter. So now I showed you that on our easy words that are just CVC words. I want to show you more what that would look like when it's more tricky words or more difficult words. So I'm going to use our words that had our floss rules and our CK rules. And I'm going to pretend like I'm one of our friends who had issues with this. Now, they need to be doing this with pencil. I obviously just grabbed my pen. They need to use their pencil because this is what it's going to look like most often. Kick, k, k. Oh, is it C? And they're gonna do this, I promise. K, C-K. And they're gonna wait for your reaction. But you want them to not just give you an answer, you want them to explain why. Well, why is it K? Oh, Miss Rhodes said A-O-U. C is for A-O-U, K is for the other two. This is I, so I need to use K. That discussion one more time is going to build that memory in their brain. It's gonna build that schema a lot harder for them. So that discussion one more time is gonna make this a big difference. On our CVC words that are just the basic sounds, maybe not as much. Most of them are gonna have that by now, but on these kind of words, very much so. So same thing like pits. We had a lot of issues with pits. They would do this, which obviously I want them to break down the sounds, but this is how they would spell it, because that is hard for them to separate, which is why we always say pits, what's the base word? Pit, then we're gonna add an S. So we can have that discussion again during their spelling homework. So this is kind of a way to kind of boost the effectiveness of their spelling homework to bring up their spelling grades and their reading and writing in general. Thanks, parents. Bye.